Wow. You know that there's an infinite source available to everyone. It's there for each who seek it, no matter their race, gender, or even their religion. You can believe what you may, but you should know that the source of the universe is also the source of each of us. Therefore, the principle supporting the stars is the principle supporting and available to each of us. As I declare this in the first person, I am declaring it for all. I am open and receptive to this divine living principle. Father, Mother God, I am grateful. This is my declaration. This is my truth. And as I accept it, so it becomes, and all is well. Well, indeed. The Sunday experience, practical spiritual living. And we've been talking about the dynamics of intention, living from intention instead of reacting to circumstances. Hmm. I want to welcome you to this Sunday experience and explain and ask the question, maybe is more so than explaining, is it a sermon? Have you come to a class? Is it a lecture that you've come to today? Well, the truth is not exactly. What it is a live online experience where spiritual principles become living practice. Built for today, built for you, and we are building together. And it's brought to you through Unity of Chicago South, a fully beyond walls, new thought spiritual community. And I am Reverend R. Ken, the senior minister, and today's guide as we continue this series of the dynamics of intention. You know, as we begin, let's remind ourselves of what we mean by dynamic intention. When many people hear the word intention, they think of goals and plans or just simply paying attention. While those ideas, they truly do have value, they only touch the surface of what we've been exploring. You know, throughout this series, we've been making an important distinction. Attention as what am I noticing? Dynamic intention as from what center of consciousness am I choosing to live? Attention naturally follows whatever captures our awareness. Dynamic intention gives direction to our awareness. Attention shifts with circumstances. Dynamic intention remains rooted in purpose. So for me, dynamic intention is this: the conscious decision to live from the inner house before responding to the outer world. Let me tell you, the words sound beautiful, don't they? Deciding to respond from the inner house. But it takes work. And it's not in the moment work. It's the work that we prepare to live in the moment. So it's the preparation that allows the work to come forth when the situation calls for it. You see, by choosing this inner house posture and responding from it before life tells us what's getting ready to happen. So we've said, I'm prepared for life or whatever it is, because this is where I respond from. I don't respond because this or that. I don't respond because I like you or I don't. I don't respond to you because it's good or it's not good. I respond from where I am, my connection with that which is me, my source. See, it's deciding who we will be before the circumstances begin telling us who we should be. It's moving beyond reaction and aligning with that purpose. That's why I call it dynamic. It isn't a wish, it isn't positive thinking, it isn't simply setting goals. It's a living movement of consciousness that continually aligns our thoughts, our words, our actions, and our relationships with the highest experience of who we are. And let me tell you, I've had an experience recently, and I've had the experience of seeing how challenging that is. But I also had the experience of knowing that even if you don't meet the challenge in the moment, there will be another moment. You see, every day life invites us to react, and every day that source of us, that spirit within us, invites us to respond. Dynamic intention is choosing which invitation we will accept. Now, over the past 3 weeks, what we've done is we've explored intention as awareness, attention as direction, intention as embodied presence. Today, we take the next step. And the next step brings me to the question of the day. How do I know our intention, my intention, is becoming more than an idea? That's important that we ask ourselves that question, that we check in every once in a while and say, is my intention in line with my actions? Well, there may be another way that we can check on it regularly. Maybe the answer is found in its fruit, you see. You see, an apple tree, a peach tree, a pear tree, they never struggle to prove that they're an apple, a peach, or a pear tree. Eventually, they bear their fruit. They bear the apple, the peach, or the pear. The fruit reveals the nature of the tree. Now, perhaps our work lives much the same way. Our relationship, our conversations, our responses, all of them, all of them, all of them. When under pressure, they become the fruit of the intentions we have quietly cultivated. I want to say it again. When we put in the pressure situation, you say, well, the pressure situation, Reverend, what is that? Sometimes the pressure situation is merely just being in a social environment. And those people that you may have thought one thing about come up to you and you say, I still think the same thing. Well, was that your intention when you left the house? Was that the intention you set that morning? Because the way you react is the fruit of the intention that you truly hold, not the intention that you talk about. Dr. Emily Cady reminds us that our business is to keep open to the inflow of the Holy Spirit. That our business is to keep open to the inflow of the Holy Spirit. Our business is to keep open to the inflow of the source of us coming forth. The fruit is not produced by force. It is produced by remembering and reminding and staying open to the life that is already seeking to express through us, already seeking to express with us. Oh my, if we could become aligned with that life that wants to seek demonstration through us, how much of our fruit will change. That's everyday stuff. Check yourself. Check myself. You see, there's not a lesson that I share with you that I don't have to live. And sometimes I get an A, and sometimes I get a D. But just say someone interrupts you. And many times the first impulse is, Damn, I'm irritated. Darn it. But if your intention was set, and that intention is compassion, remember what I'm saying here. What eventually appears? Compassion. Eventually is the word. Sometimes we can get so into being holy that if we slip for a moment, we're saying, oh, Lord Jesus, oh, Lord. But what the word was eventually, because if it's the real intention, there may be that moment where you go, and something just pauses you. And you say, it's all good. So be kind to yourself as you're developing, living from the intention that you set, to be in compliance with that which wants to come forth through you. You see, if your intention is understanding, then understanding begins to emerge. The circumstances don't create the fruit. The apple tree is the apple tree, and if it bears fruit, it will be apples. The fruit, what the fruit shows, it shows what already has been growing within you. Maya Angelou once said, do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better. One of our sayings with Unity of Chicago South is, be better to do better. Now, Maya Angelou gives us a beautiful description there of spiritual growth. Intention is not perfection. Intention is not perfection. So there may be a moment where you, right, I don't want to act that way. The pause is purpose. The pause is important. The pause is what allows ourselves to catch ourselves and catch up with our intention. Intention is not perfection. It is a willingness to let today's awareness become tomorrow's destination. Today's awareness, I know that there is that flows through me. There's that flows through me that wants to express. And I choose to live from that place. I choose to live from that inner house, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how many times I may slip. I'm always going to go back to the inner house to allow it to come forth. You see, the outer world continually asks us to react. But the inner house quietly asked us to remember who we are. Reaction may be immediate. Sometimes we feel we must react right now. I must say it. I must do it right now. If I don't. But let's remember the tree, that apple tree, the pear tree, the peach tree, the plum tree. Fruit takes time. That is why spiritual practice requires patience. And the patience comes from you to you. It is not someone being patient with you. Oh, they're giving me another chance. No, it is you. It is me being patient with me, knowing that this intention, elevation, is not instantaneous. It comes with practice. And even then, it's not perfect. There may be a longer pause than it was yesterday for a situation. See, the life we intend today might not be fully visible tomorrow. I choose to be healthy. I choose to be wealthy. I choose to be happy. I've chosen it, so tomorrow I'm going to be it. Maybe not fully visible. And I think that's a key word or key phrase for us. It's happening. The apple tree is growing into being able to produce the fruit of apples. But know this, every time we intentionally plant an intention within us, another seed is there to grow. So what does that mean, Reverend? What does that mean, Reverend? What does that mean, Reverend? Well, that's saying very simply this. I said I won't fill in the blank. I want fill in the blank. And tomorrow it doesn't seem to come. But I plant it again and I say, I not only want it, I must be it. And I plant another seed. You see? And as I continue to plant various seeds around the primary intention, they begin to take root. And as they take root, I change. The Tao teaches this. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Wow. And when we understand, as I open up our talk usually every Sunday, if we understand that the principle supporting the stars is also the principle supporting and available to us, that means that we can look at nature and say, nature doesn't hurry, but everything gets accomplished. I am part of that. And understand that dynamic intention is not frantic striving. I must have, I got to get it right now. It is more of a faithful living, knowing that the fruit appears in its season. The American poet Wendell Berry wrote, be joyful though you have considered all the facts. Be joyful though you've considered all the facts. That's a hard one. But it's a powerful invitation. Don't ignore all the stuff, but choose the deeper reality from where you choose to live. That is intention demonstrated. This week, instead of asking yourself, what did I accomplish today? What did I accomplish today? Ask yourself instead, what was the fruit of my intention? What did my intention, what fruit did it produce today? A much better barometer measurement of who you are from the deepest aspects of yourself. You could say, there's an old saying, the world is better because so-and-so was here. And we can ask ourselves a similar question. Did someone encounter more patience, love, understanding because I was around? Did someone get more kindness, more courage? Was there more peace because of my presence? You see, because it's the fruit that tells the story. That's how intention, dynamic intention, is expressed. You know, what we do around here is called a soul inquiry. And as we prepare to close, I want to give you a soul inquiry, but I also want to remind some of you who may not visit us every week, or this is your first time. First of all, welcome, welcome, welcome. And let me say this to you, that the door is open. Come in anytime. And remember that much of our talks are also found on YouTube at Unity OCS. And that's, of course, the Unity OCS when you go to YouTube. But a soul inquiry is when we ask a question of our source, of our soul, of the spirit, of the Christ consciousness, and we then allow it to answer in its time. We allow ourselves to experience the fruit of our question in due time. Now, this week's soul inquiry is, if someone experienced the fruit of my life this week, what would they say has been growing within me? If someone experiences the fruit of my life, what would they say has been growing within me? You know, Jesus taught, by their fruits you shall know them. Perhaps that the teaching is not only about recognizing others, but can we see it as an invitation to examine ourselves? You see, our lives are always bearing fruit. Our lives are always bearing fruit. So I say to you, join with me as I focus on my fruit and say that let the fruit of my intention, let the fruit of your intention become visible in our words, in our choices, in our relationships, and most of all, in our presence wherever we are. May we continue to choose to live from the inner house before responding to the outer world. And may our lives become quiet demonstrations of the intention we have chose. I want to remind you that the Sunday experience continues, and as we go into the Sunday conversation, which will follow after a short break. And we start a new series this week, exciting forgiveness. Now, I want you to know that even right now, you can text 564 234 2890. That's 564 234 2890. You text Sunday to that number and you will get a response, and you will also receive links to be able to connect with us and be a part of the conversation, be part of the experience. Or you can visit us at unityocs.org, and there are several links there to connect. Remember, the Sunday experience is not about me talking to you, it's about us sharing whenever we can. Now, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or any of the other social medias, we appreciate you. We appreciate you to the max. But if you'd like to get reminders about changes that are happening, about new things that are happening, then I suggest that you give us a text so you can be plugged in to our weekly reminder and updates as they come about. With that said, I'll give you that number again one more time. You text Sunday, simple one word, to 564 234 2890. And right now, we want to move into our break, get a coffee, go to the restroom, or do something kind for yourself, whatever it may be, and join us on the other side for Sunday conversations as the Sunday experience continues. Half the chicken get
We're
right.
gonna put it on,
Don't put it on
not on
the smoke.
the radio, with the smoker. Why, other than take too much?
Sometimes I look at the pork on there, that pork roast.
So then which one would you put at the bottom, the eight foot down or anything? Both of them could be on top. No, we ain't gonna do it.
That's fine.
Some light on one side, let's put right on right.
We don't know that.
Nobody's gonna be worrying.
You're not worried.
You.
Yeah.
You would be worrying me.
Well, actually, I'm not, you don't worry. The other way is worry. The hard work. Shit.
Where we going? Where we going? You wear the day, you can't wear the day. I would put different jersey on.
I wore it the last time I saw it.
You like a rock. You know, for rock, a rock makes clean. No,
Tans.
Tans. Huh?
So let me see what's going on.
For what?
Intermission. Time to go, baby. Yeah, I'm gone. Okay. We are back. We are back, rocking and rolling. Let me get in just in case we get a little conversation. All righty, all set up, ready to go. I tell you, forgiveness. This is what we call Sunday conversation. Now, let's understand something in case you're watching from one of the social platforms, Twitch, uh, Twitch, Twitch TV, or Facebook, or YouTube. We appreciate it. But this is called Sunday conversation. So more so even than the first part where we would love participation, this part is where it's all about conversation by the nature of its name, Sunday conversation. So I say to you that if you're on any of the social platforms, that I would invite you to join us on our team platform, and you can go to our website, unityocs.org, excuse me, or you can text Sunday to 564-234-2890. I'll try to bring that number up for you a little bit later. So in this week of introducing the new conversation focus, the first question I think is to be asked is, what is forgiveness? I mean, really, what is forgiveness? Think about it. Because our topic of discussion for the next few weeks on Sunday Conversation will be the practice of forgiveness. We'll explore forgiveness through 3 windows. The New Thought window. What do New Thought teachers reveal about forgiveness? The psychological window. What have we learned about forgiveness through the study of the human mind and emotions? And of course, the scriptural window. How do the great spiritual traditions invite us to understand forgiveness? Now, each week we'll look through these 3 windows and then open conversation right behind them. Today's question is one of the oldest and the most personal questions we can ask. What is forgiveness really? Before we begin, though, I'd like you to think quietly about this question. When you hear the word forgiveness, what is the first thought or feeling that comes to mind? Give that some thought. For some people, it's freedom. Forgiveness means freedom. For some, it means pain. To forgive is so painful. For some, it's impossible. I just can't forgive them for what they did to me. I just can't forgive them for what they did to me. But let's understand, there's no right answer today. We're just simply beginning this journey together. And first, we want to look at that New Thought perspective. Our guide today is Emmett Fox. Fox understood forgiveness as an act of spiritual freedom. Fox understood forgiveness as an act of spiritual freedom. He wrote, life is consciousness. If life reflects consciousness, then forgiveness is not merely about changing another person. It begins by changing the consciousness through which we continue experiencing the hurt. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is not pretending something never happened. How often we try to do it that way. I'm not going to worry about it. Just like it never happened. It did happen. But what forgiveness is, what's an aspect of forgiveness is, it is refusing to let yesterday's happening, yesterday's injury become today's identity. I don't have to live in that pain. Not, it didn't hurt me. Some of us were taught, you just move through it. It doesn't hurt you. Don't let it stop you. Just keep it going. Yeah, it hurt. But I'm not going to live in that hurt. Today is a new day. And when we think about it that way, do you see how different that is from the way forgiveness is usually discussed? Does anyone want to put a comment out or even speak on it? See, that's a different way to look at it. Do you see how that works? And do you see the potential in that being a new dynamic in our lives? To understand is how I'm looking at the situation, my consciousness, that determines how it affects me. Well, let's go on the window to the psychological perspective. Before we do, let me get a sip. You see, modern psychology offers an important distinction. Hear me out. Forgiveness is not forgetting. I think Reverend Dr. Coleman would say, I can forgive you, but I won't forget you. Or she might have said, I can forgive you, and I do forgive you, and I do forget you. I'm not sure. But forgiveness is not forgetting. It is not excusing. It is not denying injustice. Instead, many psychologists describe forgiveness as releasing the emotional grip that resentment continues to hold over us. Take heed to where the emphasis is. Forgiveness benefits the one who forgives. Oh, we were taught coming up. Let me speak from my life. In my environment, we were taught that we just need to forgive us for what we did. We sought it out. But as understanding evolves, we now know that I forgive you to help me, not for you. I forgive you to help me. It benefits the one who forgives, not because the past is gone, but because the past no longer determines the present. As African Americans, I'm not trying to speak for all of us, but I can speak for a part of us, some of us, a group of us. Yeah, we have forgiven you for what you've done. We've had to forgive you for what you've done, but we damn sure have not forgotten. And when you bring it up again, when you bring it forward again, through white supremacy or whatever it might be, we remember and we awaken. Forgiveness is not forgetfulness. But The question becomes, why is letting go seemingly so, at least it feels so difficult? Why do you think that is? Again, if you have an opinion, just unmute yourself and speak up. So why do you think letting go feels so difficult, so hard? I want to forgive them, but I just can't. I just can't do it. See, I can forgive you, but you still have to pay the price. I think every spanking or whooping I got, my mother probably forgave me, but I still had to pay. she didn't she didn't hold it against me. She didn't bring it back to me the next day or the next week, probably because I didn't do it again, but that's not the point. Not at all. The point is, forgiveness does not mean that you don't pay the penalty for whatever it is that you've done, whatever that penalty might be. And now let's look at our third window, the scriptural perspective. In the Gospel of Matthew, Peter asked Jesus, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? And of course, many of us know the response. Jesus responded, according to the scripture, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. Now let's do some metaphysical here real quick. Not spend a lot of time. But for us metaphysically, 7 is a number of completion. So when Peter first asked, 7 times should I forgive him completely? Jesus seems to come back and say, not just let go of him completely, forgive him completely, but let go of him every time it comes back. As often as necessary to forgive, for you to let go of it, do that. 7 times 70, 7, completely, not just surfacely, but completely get into the forgiveness. And now when we take this back to the psychology, to forgive completely is to release ourselves. It don't have nothing to do with the people or the thing. Remember, we're always working on us. We're always working on us. Yeah. Forgiveness is not just an occasional, it's something that we have to do over and over till it becomes a way of living. A conditional willingness to refuse resentment. That's the final word. I refuse resentment to be my final state. What did Fox say? We are consciousness. Yes. Is that someone speaking? Speak up. Is that you? All right. Good morning. Good morning. Of course. Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. You know, that's a no, that's a good point because again, this is about interchange, dialogue, so everyone can grow. Um, I think the point of you still must pay the price. Whatever that price is, if that's my not seeing you when I see you, if I'm not ready to forget what you did so I cannot hug you, or I forgive you. I'm not, because again, I'm forgiving you for me. I'm forgiving you so that the resentment that's around the anger or the pain can start being minimized, subsiding, and you no longer have an effect on that. But at the same time, I don't have to prove it to you. So I see you, you get no hug, but I can forgive you. I don't have anything to prove to you that I'm forgiving you. My forgiveness is my forgiveness because it's about me. It's about me healing. And then what do I have to do to express that? What do I have to do? Do I have, for my own sake, do I have to hug you? Well, then it's about me. But I don't need to prove to you that you are forgiven because I never forgave you for you anyway. And it's when we understand that I'm doing it for me. And so whatever actions follow after that, they are the actions that come along with whatever you've done. That's how we see that. If that's for yeah, I agree with you. If that's what I need to complete it, yeah. But I might not need to hug you to know that that I'm done. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wow. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's healing for us. Thank you so much. Well, let's as we come down to the closing part of this session, a wonderful session. Thank you so much for the contribution. Let's bring our three windows together and show how they each illustrate something different, but they're close to the same as you just said, Bonnie. See, New Thought reminds us that forgiveness changes what? Consciousness. Changes me, changes how I see, changes the person who's doing the forgiving, giving. And the psychology reminds us that forgiveness promotes emotional freedom. I'm no longer tied to the pain that I have to forgive you for because there's some feeling involved there. And then scripture reminds us, as you just mentioned, Bonnie, that it's a spiritual discipline that has to be done over and over and over. And when we think it's complete, we must do it again. But together, they invite another possibility. Perhaps forgiveness is less about changing the past, which we cannot do, and more about changing our relationship with the past, which is something we can do. This week I leave you with this practice. Don't begin with life's deepest wounds. We sometimes want to go back to that one that we've been carrying for 40,000 years. I need to forgive that. And if I can forgive that, I know I got it made. I did something. And it's hard sometimes to forgive that because it's so embedded, it's so rooted in that consciousness. So why don't we just begin with something small if we find that the big thing is just overwhelming? In the interrupted conversation, and this might sound small, but the way things are going right now, it's big. The inconsiderate driver, if we could do some forgiving around that, that really will motivate us into changing and uplifting our consciousness. The misunderstood text message. Did they mean that? If we start noticing our reaction and then we pause, that driver, and we asked ourselves, what am I holding on to right now? And I want to share, sometimes I find that a situation will happen in traffic and I'll just kind of, and then as I allow the pause to happen, I realize that they could have, I felt some fear because I felt they could have caused me harm. And so it's the fear that has grabbed my attention and put it in that situation. Wow, that crazy driver. But I found that when I then reverse and say, but I'm here, it didn't happen. So the fear at that point becomes unwarranted. And as the fear is unwarranted, I can release the incident. This is just a practice that I've found that occasionally I'm able to do and that works. Because when I recognize it was the fear of bodily harm that didn't occur, I can release it. I can move toward freedom of thought. And as you know, if you follow us on either part of the Sunday experience, we have a soul inquiry, and that soul inquiry is when we ask ourselves the deepest question into the source of us, the spirit of us, the Christ consciousness of us. And we wait patiently for the answer. And I heard President Barack Obama mention during the time of the opening of his library, when someone asked him about Trump, you seem to be living rent free in his head. He said, I don't know how I got up there, how but it does seem that way. So we can ask ourselves a similar question: who or what am I allowing to continue to occupy space in my heart? My heart and my feelings. So who am I allowing to stay in my feelings that I need to forgive? Or maybe even a deeper one. What would become possible if forgiveness became an act of freedom for me instead of an obligation? I'm sorry, I forgive you. I got to forgive them because. But what if I thought, I'm forgiving them because I want to be free of that pain. I want to be free of that hurt. I want to be free of that thought. I want to be free of remembering that incident. Next week, we'll ask another important question. Why is this so difficult to let go? And until then, may you carry this thought with you. Forgiveness is not about changing yesterday. It's about choosing how yesterday will or will not shape today. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this Sunday experience and this Sunday conversations. Build for you, build for today, building together. On behalf of the Unity of Chicago South Spiritual Community, I say to you, namaste.